Hi, everybody. I'm Sandy Price, and this is your welcome to NLM 310 Volunteer Management. I have put some information up there for you, and I know that it's no context for you, but believe it or not, $193 billion a year is how much the independent sector values the time that volunteers put in just in America. Just in America. It's not the rest of the world. As an hourly rate, that's an average of $24.14 an hour. That is the value that they place on the different kinds of volunteer jobs, and then I get average it. But for me, the big thing is $193 billion worth of people time that goes into all the different kinds of volunteering that you can imagine. The thing that I think about when I think about how many people and how many hours and how much passion that represents is think of all the stuff that has been done and all the stuff that can be done if we can harness this kind of people energy. I don't know what your passion is. I don't know what your favorite causes are. I don't know how you would like to be an agent for social change in the world. But imagine if you could get a room full of people that were willing to work with you to get it done and shared your passion and wanted to make it happen. Whatever your love is, I hope that you will learn this semester all of the best practices around exciting people to engage with you in a volunteer way, and how to keep them passionate and how to make sure that it's good for them and it's good for your cause. And we are going to learn all of the best practices. We're going to learn stuff from how to decide the best use of the time of your volunteers, how to engage them, not just that they show up and say, oh, I really care about what you're doing, and you scramble around to find something for them to do, but how can you figure out where you need volunteers to really help you meet your mission? And then how can you go out and get just those volunteers that can and want to do the things that you need done to achieve that mission? How to make sure that they are happy campers while they are volunteering for you, and how to make them feel that they are part of everything that you do and that they help them understand how critical they are to your mission. How to retain them, how to manage and supervise them, how to help them grow and develop in their jobs, because it's different than when they're paid employees. Clearly, it's hard to talk to somebody about improving themselves if they're working for free, and yet if we do it right, they will want to. They will know that if they master this, they will help achieve the mission that much faster. And we're going to look at all of the other pieces that are involved in having a volunteer program and managing it. So that is our mission for this semester. Now, it's gonna take me a second here, but I want to see if I can get out of my PowerPoint. Not sure if I can or not. Somehow hitting escape isn't working. There we go. And get rid of it and find our way to the classroom. And here we are. Okay, this is our classroom. Let me see if I can move this enough so that you can see all of it. I like my cool banner up there. All right, so here we are. Most of you are probably familiar with Blackboard, but if for some reason this is your first online class, I encourage you to show up at the online classroom and just poke around. We've got kind of a brand new class this semester. I'm not going to tell you all the reasons and the ins and outs, but after teaching this class for about 3 years now, I decided I wanted to do it all different, and I tore the whole thing up and started from scratch, just like building a new building from the ground. I didn't even leave the studs. I tore the whole thing down and put it back together. So hopefully you will like what we've got going this semester. You will be working with me to see how it works. And so if you have an idea for tweaking it, then please let me know, because your feedback is the most important feedback. All right, so let's just take a look. Your Blackboard should open up to the announcements. And here I'm scrolling down so you can see what are the announcements. This right here is a video of me, welcome and how to be successful in an online class. If you will please take the time to watch this video, I think that you will find out all the things you need to know about how to be successful in an online class. An online class is very, very different from a face-to-face classroom. And believe it or not, even though a lot of people think an online class is going to be less complicated and easier, it turns out that in a lot of ways, being in an online class is actually more complicated, and I want you to know in advance what to expect so that you will succeed. So please, the first thing for you to do is to watch that. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. And then the next message under our announcements are just the 5 things you can do to get started. And I will leave that for you to read yourself, but let's look around our Blackboard classroom. So we have 2 instructors this semester. We have myself, and we have a wonderful, wonderful TA. Her name is Rang, and she did not leave you a picture. I'll try to get her to do that, but you can read about me and you can read about her right there. Now, here's the syllabus link, and this is what everybody is waiting for. I know you want to dive into that syllabus and see what we've got going. So here it is right here. If I make any changes to it, I will let you know. You just click on that and then you can download it. This other thing that I've got going right on top of it is a writing rubric. We have our classroom basically on the discussion board, and I'm going to show it to you in a minute or two. But the thing that I want you to know is that because so much of the way that we communicate is in writing, although there are lots of opportunities to videotape yourself if you prefer to just discuss it and not have to write it down. And you'll see when you have those options right on the syllabus. But I have given you a writing rubric so that you will not be surprised by how I grade you. It will show you what I'm looking for, and you can basically live into the grade that you are interested in having by paying attention to what it is I'm looking for. All right, so down below this, I'll show you the syllabus in a minute, but down below this syllabus and writing rubric link is the course content link. You are going to find almost everything that you need right here. Now, there will be some readings that you will have to chase off to the library, and we do have one book that you need to buy. It's an older book. You are perfectly welcome to buy it used from Amazon.com for $6. That's fine. But here what you will find is you'll see this folder at the top. This is all different kinds of instructions and forms for different things that assignments we're going to be doing this semester. And then below that are our readings. They are not in the order that you need them. They are in alphabetical order. If something's out of alphabetical order, you'll just have to forgive me. I work on this at all hours. I don't have any help, and I don't always proofread it perfectly. But anyway, I'll show you the syllabus in a minute, and when you see the syllabus, you will realize that this is where you come to find the readings that are on it. Okay, here are our discussion boards. Okay, so one of the first things you're going to do this week is sign up for groups, and I'll talk about that right now. What you are seeing here is the instructor's version. I am guessing that until you sign up for a group, you won't be able to personally see any of these discussion boards, even though I can see them all. The way that I have asked you to sign up, and I'll show it to you in a minute, is if you are a person who's most available during weekdays, you're going to pick Alpha. If you are most available during weeknights, you're going to pick Group Beta. And if you are most available on the weekends, you're going to go into Group Gamma. And the reason for that, Gamma, I'm not sure. The reason for that is because you will have some projects this semester that you need to find somebody to do it with you, a partner or two, depends on the topic. but it will be much easier if I group you by people who can work together because you've got a similar time. If you are one of those lucky people that have a very flexible life and it doesn't matter which group you go into, you may want to hang back a little bit until you see which group is not filling up and then take yourself there just so that our groups will be more even. But at any rate, all right, so this right here, we have a research report that we will be doing, and you are allowed to sign up for your own topic. This is actually a wiki, which means that everybody can write on it, just like Wikipedia. And what I've got right here on the left are lots of different topics. And there are 20 topics and there are close to 60 of us. So up to 3 people can sign up for one topic. You will also be signing up to do a peer critique of one of the people who is writing this. So you will pick a topic that you want to do a report on, and you will also want to pick a topic that you want to read. So you'll want to do a report on whatever's most interesting to you, and maybe you'll sign up to critique the thing that is next most interesting to you and let somebody else look it up, and then you just get to read it. So we'll talk more about that later when the time comes. But in order to put your name down, you just hit this Edit Wiki button. You come in here, you put your little cursor there, and you type like that. Of course, you'll be typing your name. And then when you're done, hit submit, and you will have signed up. Okay, now over here, you will see, okay, where are we? Okay, so here's the groups link, and somewhere it says, oh, I know where it says it in the announcements, but basically, if you want to sign up for the alpha group, you sign up if you are most available for collaborative work during the weekdays. And then this is my side. I'm not entirely sure what yours looks like, but it should be evident where to sign up and how when you get to your own page, because I've set this up so that you can self-enroll. Okay, so let's get out of this, but whichever of these groups you sign up for, that's the discussion board that you will, I believe, see. Once you sign up for it, it will show up in discussion boards. Okay, now what's with this weekly quizzes? Well, we don't have any exams in this class, but what we do have are weekly quizzes. The first quiz will not be this first week, it will be next week. And I've set it up so that the quiz must be taken by Wednesday of each week. You can see it must be taken by 5 o'clock on Wednesday. And in fact, once you have taken the quiz after 5 o'clock, the quiz shuts down. So the reason for doing this is, 1, I need to make sure that you read because we don't have an exam later. And 2, our work in our classroom, which is the discussion board in an online environment, will not be very meaningful if you haven't actually done the reading. So I give you until Wednesday of each week to do the reading. Your first readings are due next week, not this week, so you have a little time to get up and running and get going. All right, so Dropbox. Some of the stuff doesn't belong here. I'm not even sure you can see it, but at any rate, there will be some things that need to be turned in the Dropbox. We'll see those on the syllabus. And then down here, you will see week 1. There is that video again about learning online right this minute. I haven't put anything else in there, although I probably will put some other stuff in there tomorrow. But basically, I will just leave you stuff that you need for the week in there. I won't necessarily duplicate the syllabus, but if there's a video or something that I think is interesting, or if I leave you a video about the content, do a lecture or whatever, it will be in these weekly links. All right, so way down here is something called email, and you can actually use it to send email to me as your instructor or to send it to people who are in the class. You also have the email function in your groups, coming back to the group thing, and you will see that you have a group email here. And there's nobody in the groups yet, so there's nobody to email to. But once the groups populate with students, then you'll be able to see who's in there and send anybody you'd like or everybody in your group an email. Okay, so that's it for this second. Now let's just pull up the syllabus. Got a lot of syllabi going here, but I don't see the one that I'm looking for. Oh, it's right at the top. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right. So here we are. I'm not going to go through this whole thing because you can read it for yourselves, and you wouldn't want me to read it to you. Trust me. But if you see here, the information about me and my office hours and stuff are at the top. Our learning outcomes, which are interesting, are right up at the front. And these are all the things that I'm hoping that we are going to learn through the class. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We basically have a bunch of readings, and we have these two books. The book on your left, Volunteer Recruitment book, is the book that you need to buy. I tried to find something to substitute for the information that was in this book, but I couldn't find anything that was as concise, short, and easily understandable as this particular book, and I figured it was worth the $6 instead of making you wrestle through a bunch of stuff. Now I say $6 because it's an older book, 2002, and you can buy it online for about $6 or $8. You can get a brand new spanking digital download immediately if you prefer by taking this link, but that will cost you $18. So if you are money conscious, which I know I am, I'd go to Amazon. All right, this other book over here is called Best Practices in Volunteer Management. If you want to see the front of it, you can make it bigger like that. But basically, I've given this to you. It's available freely online. It was developed for one of the provinces in Canada, and they make it, Canada is big on volunteering. You would not believe how big they are, and they have a lot of resources out there that I like to dip into. So this is one, it's called Best Practices in Volunteer Management, and it's concise, it's short, it's right to the point. I think you'll like that about it. The chapters are not long at all, and they just zero right in on what you need to know. And so I've taken several chapters out of that for us. They're not actually called chapters, they're called best practices. But at any rate, we will also have some other readings and some videos. And if you recall, see if I can move this, get rid of that thing. You will come right back here into the classroom, into the course content, and you will find these articles that are asked for. Now let's just take a look at where you'll find those. All right, so we're talking about the readings, so I'm going to skip ahead for just a minute. Here is a calendar that tells us what we're doing. So we're in week 1, and the assigned materials are to review the syllabus, check the weekly folder, and then you've got a very short article called A Short History of Volunteering by Gillette. It's really interesting, actually. And then you see this next thing, which EDS is not a person, that's editors, but it's a timeline of volunteerism. It's actually a graphic. It's nothing to read. It's just something to look at really quickly. And then because most of our students are still youth, I have this very interesting article about the impact of volunteering early on the rest of your life, and they've been studying and following that. And then this video that I've asked you to watch is really a video about why it is that young people don't volunteer, or more to the point, why they don't volunteer the same way that people used to volunteer and instead volunteer in different ways. Okay, so you can see that you will find week 1 here. I've given you a saying from the beginning: motivated volunteers have created some of our country's best stuff, and the spirit of volunteerism is in many ways the spirit of America. So that's the big thought, big idea for the week. And right under that is this assigned materials, and then finally our activities, which we will come back to later. But I show you this because you will see that none of those readings are actually either of those 2 books, and you will find those readings in the course content. Okay, so then there's a couple of paragraphs about Blackboard, and basically it tells you where to go to get help and other stuff that you need to know to be successful technologically. The one thing I want to say to you is I can try to answer your tech questions, but there is a 24/7 folks at the IT desk. You can get them by phone, you can get them on chat, and they are really good and will resolve 99% of your problems in a few minutes. If you send me an email because you're having a problem, it might be 24 hours or even 36 hours before I get back to you. And then if it's technical, I might not know what to do about it. I am a subject matter expert. I am not an IT expert. I will try to help you if I can. There's also in the classroom, in the discussion board, there is a place underneath all this other stuff called Hallway Conversations and Questions. And if you have a question here that you think a fellow student might be able to answer, you just come in, create a thread. Let's see, need to know how to drop a picture into a text box. So you can just put that as the subject. I can't figure out how to insert my photo into the text box. Can anybody help me? And somebody will no doubt know how. Like me, I know how, and come along and give you an answer. So if you have those kind of questions that you think somebody might know the answer to, feel free to leave it there. But if you are having a heavy tech problem with getting into the classroom or using some tool or whatever, just go straight to the IT people. They know more about your computer and how it might be interacting with the system than I do. Okay, now the very important parts you've all been waiting for. This is how you are getting graded, which is really what are we doing? What awesome things are we doing this semester that you're going to then also get graded for? All right, so discussion board participation. I should tell you up front, this class is worth 1,000 points, and you'll add up all your points, or Blackboard will do it for you, and then you'll divide them by 10 in order to actually go get a grade. 750 of those points are part of the discussion board. Okay, so a lot of it is discussion board. Each of your weekly discussion board assignments is actually worth 35 points, except the last assignment, which is actually a 2-week-long assignment, and it's kind of a little culminating project. It's going to be worth 85 points. All right, and you should really go through here and read this. It's got little factoids like right here. It warns you. I don't know if you can see this, but you probably can't. But you should go read it. It says discussion 4, week 4 discussion requires you to interview somebody before week 4. Week 8 discussion requires you to go do a volunteer activity so you can observe how they welcome and orient and train you, or if they do at all. And I know you've all been out to volunteer, but you no doubt have not been out to volunteer with the idea that when you get there, you're going to be observing, taking notes, etc. on what they do to orient you. And that has to happen before week 8 and 9. So you need to actually read this stuff. It's also, you'll find it again in the calendar. Okay, there's the information about the weekly quizzes. There are 13 quizzes. They are worth 10 points apiece, hence 130 points. You have a research paper and peer critique. I just showed you where you sign up for your topic. There are the topics listed again. And here in the syllabus, it gives you a lot of information. There's also another instruction page, and that is in the course content folder. Maybe I'll go back and show you in a minute. But you can see here that it tells you that the research paper is worth 120 points. It should be 8 to 10 pages long, and it gives you some other information about it. And then it gives you some instructions down below, which I will not read to you because you can read them for yourself. You can also find a fuller set of instructions over here in the course content folder. See where this says instructions, forms, worksheets, and rubrics? So I clicked on it, and here's your week 10 research paper critique. I don't know why it's at the top. I should probably put it down here at the bottom since week 4 and week 8 comes first, but at any rate, that's where you will find the fuller set of instructions. Now, where were we? I almost can't remember what we were doing. We were looking at the syllabus. All right, here we go. Okay, so these are your assignments. In other words, you have discussion board, you have quizzes, you have a paper, and that's pretty much it, except you will find that there are things to do as part of your discussions. So we'll get there in a minute. Okay, here's your grading scale. I want to tell you now, and it says this in the syllabus, and I will probably tell you again, you need to ignore whatever Blackboard tells you your percentage is. It's because this classroom has been used and used and used, meaning every time we do a new 310, we import the last 310's Blackboard shell into this one, and there are hidden things I can't see that impact how many points Blackboard thinks you're supposed to get and all that. So please ignore the percentages. Do not let the percentages fool you. There's a lot of reasons why the percentages are never right. And again, I won't bore you with them now. What you need to do instead is look at your point total. What you're going to be doing is trying to accumulate as many of those 1,000 points available as possible. At the end of the semester, you're going to divide however many you have. If you have 920 points, you're going to divide it by 9, and that's going to be 92. And I mean, you're going to divide it by 10, and you're going to have 92. And you're going to come down here, and you will see that a 92 is an A minus. All right. So you want to accumulate as many of those 1,000 points as you possibly can. All right. Now there's just some other stuff that we put into these syllabi in case you need to know. Students with disabilities, other course policies, late work, technological problems, online etiquette, academic integrity, including a big section about plagiarism. Lots of people think they know what plagiarism is, but I would wager a guess that it's a more extensive list of things than you are familiar with, and you should read it. All right, so here is this calendar again, and I already sort of went through the assignment part, but let's just take a look at the activities. There is a section. I put little squares by everything, so you can check it off. Then you will know that you've done everything. All right, so the first one says it's urgent that you sign up for a group in Blackboard based on your best available times. If you're a weekday person, sign up for Alpha. If you're an evening person, sign up for Beta. If you are a weekend person, sign up for Gamma. The reason it's so important that you do this is because it will not let you into a discussion board until you do. And we are going to be discussing right away. So you need to go sign up for a Blackboard discussion group so that you can participate. Okay, now down here it says due to the discussion board Saturday at noon. So by Saturday, I don't mean 2 days ago. I mean next Saturday. And the reason that things are due on Saturday is because those of us who live in the online world actually have the whole week to work, right? It's not a Monday through Friday thing like a regular work week. It's just whenever you can. So I try to give you at least a little bit of the weekends to work. And so your first week assignment, which is to answer the questions that I put out there for you, needs to be done by Saturday at noon. Then you actually have to go back and read your classmates' stuff and respond to them. And I give you until the following Wednesday. So literally, we're going to have a cycle. You will get used to it. I know it's a little different, but the week's activities normally, sometimes it will say something different in a week for a reason, but most of the time, your week's activities, whatever I've asked them to be, must be done by noon Saturday. You may feel free to get them done earlier if you don't want to work on Saturday, and that is fine. But the latest they can be done is by noon on Saturday. And then between Saturday and the following Wednesday, you need to get back to the discussion board, see what everybody else wrote, and do whatever I've asked you to do in that second period. So let's just look at this first week and have an example of this. It says for you to review the assigned materials in preparation for this activity. And what I mean by that is if you haven't looked at the assigned materials, you're going to have a hard time answering the question. And then it says make and post a 3-minute video on the discussion board. And one of the reasons I've asked you to make this first one a video, sometimes we will be writing, sometimes you have a choice between writing and a video. But in this case, I've asked you to make a video because this is really our introduction to each other. And one of the amazing things about being in a classroom together is people get to know each other, they bond. That's harder to make happen in a online classroom, and yet we have a lot of studies that suggest that if we can manage to make that happen, students have a much better experience. So I'm asking you to make a video, 3 minutes max. I know some of you get really nervous in front of a camera. I'm going to tell you what I did when I first started making these videos, and you can see this is very simple. I haven't really done anything. I've got a lamp over there. But I used to put, I don't have one handy, but I used to take a stuffed animal. I might have a stuffed real dog here somewhere. And I would set it up on top of my laptop or just off to the side by my, like side on my laptop. And I would smile at the stuffed animal because it helps you feel like there's somebody that you are actually talking to, makes you a little less nervous. And also, I mean, if you think about it, it's silly. And silly is good and silly helps you relax. So anyway, make a video and it's supposed to answer the following 3 questions. What path are you on that brought you to this particular course, which will help us know a little bit about you? How have you personally experienced volunteering in your own life, both good and bad, if you have those experiences? And finally, what do you hope to take away from this course, and how do you see yourself learning it, whatever that means to you? One of the things about teaching is it's really important to actually understand where we start in our thinking about a subject matter. And then we throw some information at you. We do some exercises to try to use that information. And then we come back and think, I thought this before I did this particular activity. The activities changed the way I looked at it like this. And so then we become aware of actually our own learning. And once we become aware of our learning, that learning can actually be a part of us. So I've had you start with this exercise. It talks about where you already are in terms of volunteers. What do you know? What do you hope to know? And so forth. Okay, the second piece of this is I've asked you to come up with your own definition of volunteering that describes volunteering and also addresses the boundaries of volunteering. And I've asked you before you answer that question to think about kind of the fuzzy edges of volunteering. Is watching your cousin's toddler for free volunteering? What about helping your buddy move? What if you're a counselor at a summer camp and they don't actually pay you to counsel, but they give you a stipend to help cover your gasoline or your transportation costs to and from the camp? What if your company makes you do volunteer work as part of the company's corporate social responsibility program? Is that really voluntary? So I don't know. I'm asking you to think about this and then give us a definition of volunteering. Next week, we're going to look at what the academics and the people who do this for a living think volunteering is and isn't. But we want to start again with what do you think? And then that's all the stuff that has to be done by Saturday at noon. And then under that, you see it says due Wednesday noon in week 2. That means the following Wednesday. And one of the important skills that a volunteer manager has to have is active listening, to listen for the information from the volunteers that helps to make sure that the volunteers are meaningfully matched to the right job, are doing well in their job, aren't struggling, and so forth. And so with the idea of practicing listening, except it's on a discussion board, so we'll actually be practicing careful attention, I think. We want you to learn about your fellow classmates, review what they said, and then ask them some questions to deepen the conversation about their goals and their paths and so forth. So I want to just point out to you that there's a way to make it easy to remember to go back to the discussion board and do these things that I've asked you to do. There is a subscribe button at the top of every forum. And a discussion board has, you open it up and you will see different forums, week 1, week 2, week 3, those forums is what each of those is called. And when you open it up, there will be a subscribe button at the top. Let me see if I can actually find one of those for you. I don't know. We'll see what we can do because I don't know if there's anybody in here, but I should be able to get in here. Okay, so create forum. So here's the week 1 discussion board. All right, see this subscribe button? All right, unsubscribe. I just subscribed to the week 1 forum. If you hit that subscribe button, every time somebody posts something, it will come to your email box and you can read it right there in your email box. And if it's interesting or you have something you want to say, you can just click right through and come back and say something. And that way you will not have to remember or work hard to remember that you need to do that. All right, so where are we? This is getting to be longish and I apologize, but we need to go through all this stuff. All right, so I'm not going to read all these to you, but you will see that the anatomy of each week is the same. Week 2, here is our big idea, and then we have the assigned materials, and then we have the activities. And then you will notice I am kind, and I remind you that in week 3, you may do week 3 discussion board assignment alone or with a partner. The reason I've told you this on the week 2 assignment area is because it might take you a few days to find a partner, and I'm suggesting you start now, right? Okay, and then week 4, it reminds you that you're going to need to find somebody to do an interview, and there's details about that. And you will just see that we will go all the way through, and we will have the same weekly anatomy, the big idea of the week, the assigned materials, and the activities. And it just keeps going down like that. All right, all those blue things are things I'm warning you about and so forth. All right, so that is our syllabus. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to take you back momentarily to our announcements, reiterate how important it is for you to watch this online learning video, and then bring you down to this 5 things you can do to get started. 1 is to sign up for the Blackboard group, depending on your availability. 2 is to find your textbooks. Again, some of them are right online here. Some of your readings are right online, but you're going to need to go to Amazon or to the link that I gave you to get the volunteer recruitment book. Well, I have it down there. I was going to hold it up, but you've got the picture of it on your syllabus. 3 is to actually read your syllabus. There's a lot of stuff in there. You might not want to read it all at once, but it's important to read through. 4 is to poke around the online classroom. I've just showed you where stuff is, but find it for yourself. And then 5 is to head on over to your week 1 calendar on the syllabus calendar and go ahead and get started. All right, guys, if you need me, I am available by email, and I am also very happy to set up office hours with you, either in person or cyber office hours. We can use Facebook chat or Skype or Zoom or Google Hangout or anything that works for you. By the way, there are going to be some collaborative projects, and you will find a partner, in some cases 2 partners. And when that happens, if you are all in the same city, if you all happen to live in Tempe and want to meet for coffee, you can do that. But please remember, this is an online class and you cannot make somebody meet in person. And some people are going to actually be joining us, I'm sure, from out of town, and they wouldn't even be able to. So if there is anybody for whom it is not a good idea to meet in person, then you must find a video means of meeting. It used to be that ASU had something that was a collaborative tool plugged right into Blackboard, but it was such an old-fashioned and poorly working tool that we now just encourage you to use whatever is comfortable for you. Personally, I like to use Facebook chat, video chat, but there are a number of them, and they're listed in your syllabus, but usually somebody in the group's got one that they like. So try to remember that you cannot make somebody meet you in person. Okay, so again, I will make office hours for you if you need me. If you have something that is personal, feel free to email me. If you have something that you think you might not be the only one who's going to need to know, please use the hallway conversation, which I showed you is in the discussion board area down here, and so on and so forth. And I'm sure as we get into this that you will have questions. You might find some mistakes on the syllabus. Since I don't have a proofreader, you are my village. If that happens, please let me know. And I think that's enough for right now. What do you think? This is like 40-minute lecture. This is the boring lecture of the semester, and I apologize, but I did want to show you around so that you will not be on your own trying to find this stuff. Cheery ho, and I will see you on the board.